Israel has declared war in Gaza with more strikes overnight. The Palestinian president is asking the United Nations to intervene while Hamas militants are threatening to kill hostages taken from Israel. Authorities say more than 1,500 people have been killed since Saturday. Earlier, in a televised address, Israeli Prime Minister Benjamin Netanyahu issued a harsh warning for the attackers, saying, quote, "All of our enemies will know that it was a grave mistake to attack Israel." He also said Israel's offensive against Hamas in the Gaza Strip had only started. The U.S. has already responded, with the Defense Department ordering Navy warships to the eastern Mediterranean on Sunday to be on standby to help Israel. At least 11 American citizens were killed. An unknown number are still missing. For more on this, we're going to bring in Lieutenant Colonel Jonathan Conricus. He is the international spokesperson for the Israeli Defense Forces. Lieutenant Colonel, thank you for your time tonight. I want
Thank
to start.
you for having me.
I want to start here with the question the world is asking: why did Hamas pick now?
Many questions are asked. Why did it pick now? And perhaps more important, why did it choose to perform such an atrocious attack and to kill and execute so many civilians? We are talking about a death toll in Israel that is unprecedented in Israeli history. More than 900 Israelis have been killed and 2,500 have been wounded. The majority are civilians. There's military personnel as well, but the overwhelming majority are civilians. So I think the more important question is, why would they do such a thing? I think that now they are perhaps slowly beginning to understand that they have unleashed really the floodgates of hell on Gaza as a result of their barbaric attack on Israel. I don't know if you and the viewers have seen the video footage on social media of young women, Israeli women, being paraded in Gaza as they are being manhandled by Hamas terrorists. I don't know if you have seen footage of 260 bodies of Israeli civilians who were massacred at a music festival close to the Gaza Strip, which was a deliberate target of Hamas. So there are many questions to be asked and to be answered. For now, what we are focusing on is closing down the border and making sure that no other Hamas terrorists are getting in, and that we continue to strike Hamas's military infrastructure in the Gaza Strip.
I have seen the video, and some of it at least, and it's horrifying. Do you have an updated number, Lieutenant Colonel, on how many people you think are being held hostage right now?
Yeah, the list is comprised of Israeli nationals, women, children, men, elderly, disabled, toddlers, and infants, as young as baby age and as old as 80, including Holocaust survivors. I don't have a final number that is cleared for publication yet, but we are talking about dozens of Israelis that are held captive in Gaza at the hands of Hamas and the Islamic Jihad. Needless to say, they bear responsibility for the well-being of this people, and they will bear the consequences of abducting them and taking them into Gaza.
Lieutenant Colonel, as vaunted as the IDF is, how did this get missed?
Yes. I've spoken to Israeli civilians, and I've seen outpours of grief, anger, and frustration in Israeli society, in the media, and social media. People asking that and many more difficult questions. The IDF, the entire defense establishment, the police, and of course the Israeli government will have to do some very, very serious after-action reviews and soul-searching as to how this happened, how we were not able to mitigate it, and why they were able to kill or massacre so many Israeli civilians, and many more questions. And it will take, I think, years for the IDF to rectify the situation here with regards to the Israeli society. As you know, Israeli society is, or the Israeli military is a people's military. It's a conscript military. Men and women, fathers and mothers, they send their children to serve in the military, knowing that that is the organization that is responsible for defending the free and democratic state of Israel. There must be trust. So these are very difficult and pertinent questions. They will be asked and answered once the fighting is over and once the IDF has completed its tasks as they have been delegated by the government. And a time will come for that, and there will be a very rigorous process.
Benjamin Netanyahu said earlier today in his televised address that the offensive operations would begin soon. That leads me to believe, as many have speculated, that a ground invasion is inevitable. Is that the case?
Well, I wouldn't want to advertise exactly what and when we're going to do. I can, however, say that we have been tasked with taking away all of Hamas's military abilities so that at the end of this war, Hamas will not have the ability to threaten or terrorize or kill Israeli civilians. We have also mobilized 300,000 reserve soldiers in a matter of 48 hours, which is the biggest and fastest mobilization of Israeli reserves ever. We stand prepared. Our troops are preparing themselves for executing our tasks. And of course, I wouldn't want to advertise exactly the tactics of how we're going to do it. But I think that anybody who has been following events in our area of the world, following the heinous attacks of Hamas at our civilians, can probably assess what's going to happen in the future. But I want to say that we are very mindful of the fact that the initiative for this attack was with Hamas. And it stands to, or reason stands, that they will probably anticipate an Israeli response, which in an event of this magnitude would likely include a ground maneuver. So this is all understood and known, and we will have to operate around that. But again, this is a different situation. We are not talking about yet another escalation between Israel and Hamas. We are at war. We have suffered the most number of casualties ever in Israeli history. And we have unfortunately found ourselves in a situation that needs to be changed fundamentally.
Just very quickly, do you want Hamas gone entirely or just its military capabilities gone?
Well, at this stage, we have been tasked to focus on Hamas's military capabilities. But I am sure that for the benefit of Israel and Palestinians living in Gaza, for sure, a Gaza without this Iranian proxy of terrorists would be a much, much better place.
Okay. Lieutenant Colonel Jonathan Conricus, International Spokesperson for the IDF, thank you for your time.
Thank you.